Hey, hello everyone. It's Brenda here over at Blasterworks, and it's that time again. Time for our May Scrappy 8 challenge, and Michelle gave us, and in fact I need to write it down now. She gave us the prompt. I don't think you guys can hear these cats outside, but they are going at it. But anyways, Michelle gave us the prompt, Quirky Spirit Animal. Okay. Quirky Spirit Animal. So, Brandy, I did not forget your B. Also, I want to know if you want it magnetized or not. Just throwing that out there in case you see this video. If you don't, I'll just email you and ask you or message you. But anyway, so to start the challenge, I have to pick a color. Well, the color picks me. I don't really know which color it is because Michelle put the word quirky in there. I'm not too worried. Hopefully I get a quirky color because I have an idea already in my mind, and so a quirky-ish color will help make it quirky. You know what I mean? If I get a normal color that I would normally use for the picture, then it's not very quirky. So I'm going to try to make this cartoony. So whereas here, Hansi is not that cartoony. I don't think you guys can hear that, but wow, them cats are having a fight out there. And it's not nighttime or anything. It's during the middle of the day. But anyway, so yeah. So Kristen, if I get pink, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. All right, so which one should I pick? I will pick this one. Orange. Okay, yes, orange is my favorite color. It is kind of quirky, not quirky enough, but it'll do. I can use this. All right, so orange is going to be the color of either the main character or their surroundings or whatever. Actually, most of you that know me already know what my spirit animal is. And he usually wears an orange safety vest when he's on his bicycle and stuff. So, like I said, orange is a good color. It's not quirky enough because I've done that before. But it is what it is. So maybe this time he won't be wearing his safety vest and I'll try to incorporate it in another way, but I don't know. Michelle sent me an idea that she saw. And I've done this before. Actually, let me go look. Let me go get my junk journal July. But the idea she had sent me a while back when she was just looking at things, and she's like, "Oh, this is such a cute idea. You should do this one day." And so this is the perfect prompt for it. Actually, it was like a pop-up, and like it had like a possum falling into a trash can, and all you saw were his legs, I think, or I can't remember how it went, but and then you lift it up and his legs, like his whole body was falling in the trash, something like that. I can't remember, but it was cute. She saw it on Pinterest, but here I've done pop-ups before. So this was Junk Journal July a couple years ago, and I did this one. All right, so it's like fireworks, pop, 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 and this was for I think a pop of color or something was the prompt. So I'm no stranger to a pop-up. And the way I learned how to do that was I had got this pop-up book. I can't remember. I got it. I think I bought it from, the seller online, probably Jubilee Flea or Donkey Journal. One of the people that I usually buy vintage stuff from. And I bought it just so I could dissect it and figure out how some of these things work. So I used this before too. I used that in my trash journal, learned how to do that. And so it has, let me find the pop-up. It has, see here, it has a pop-up. So what I do is I just take the whole thing apart and figure out how it works, and then I do it. So if you ever come across a book like this, the pop-up book of the circus or whatever children's book, get it and dissect it, and you learn how to do things. That's how I learned how to do all my pop-ups and stuff. So so that's how I did my fireworks, and that's what I'm going to use on this one too. Is the only thing is I have to keep it thin because remember it has to fit into here. So I already have my idea traced out. So here's my picture, right? And you can see it's like a trash can. And then when you pull on it, I don't know if I'm probably just gonna have like trash down here, and that's what you're gonna pull. Pieces of trash, like it'll just be like that, but that'll be the lever. And then what'll happen is that'll flip up, and a little raccoon will pop up like that. So that is my goal. So I just need to fine tune this. Now that orange is my color, maybe I'll just make my raccoon orange. They do have red trash pandas. So there you go. That'll make him quirky enough. So maybe he'll be a red trash panda instead of a regular trash panda. But yeah, so that's what I'm going to be working on. Just going to draw him out more. I'm thinking of using just markers to make it look more like this, you know, instead of realistic. Make it look as cartoony as possible since it is quirky. And we'll go from there. So right now, off camera, I'm going to fine tune this drawing, go over it with a marker, just the outlines, so that I can trace it. And then, of course, I'll use that tracing to do, like, because I like how this trash can, I like this, how this turned out. So what I do is I take it and I measure it that way. I don't know, I'll figure it out. I might not even have to do that because I can just put carbon paper under this and trace it. Yeah, that's probably what I'll do, but I still got to fine tune my drawings. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. So from here on out, it's just going to be maybe fast forward process on some parts, and we'll get to the end. Some add-ins, some text, some voiceovers, you know, the routine music, blah, blah, blah. All right, tight. All right, so first I had cut out my flap for the pop-up, and I'm just going to tape it down temporarily so I can trace the picture onto the whole, onto the base and the flap. And I'm sorry it's so sped up, but if I didn't speed this video up, it would probably last 2 hours. So, okay, so then I'm going to use the carbon paper just to get my drawing onto the base of my tag. And then I'm just going to trace over that with a marker so I can see it better. Another reason this video would be very long is because I mess up a few times on the pop-up part. I don't know why it was so hard for me to figure it out this time versus when I did the fireworks. When I was doing the fireworks, when I felt like I got it right away, but this time I just kept messing up. So here I'm just going to add the background with stencil of bricks, Tim Holtz stencil, and I'm using, I think it's brick red ink, also from Ranger Distressed Oxide ink. All right, so now I'm going to cut the slits, and excuse my head, it gets in the way a little bit here, but I'm going to cut the slits because I have to attach a pull tab or pull band. It's more of a band than a tab onto this lid. So I have to put a slit at the top and then at the bottom also of the trash can. I've also decided to use that scrap sign that I had in my scrap box at the bottom of the trash can. So that'll be the pull tab. So that'll be attached to the band to allow me to pull it down. And that sign is actually from my junk journal box that I made last year. It's one of my scraps. I try to use up some scraps as I go in these Scrappy 8 challenges, at least 1 or 2 if I can. So here I've already cut out the image of the raccoon coming out of the trash can, and instead of tracing it onto the back of that, I'm just going to use him, the original drawing, and glue him onto the board for the tag. So I added the bricks, and I'm just sizing it up, seeing how it's going to look, and then set him aside for later. And then so now I'm going to cut out the pull band or strip. All right, let's call it a strip. All right, so I'm going to size up here and make my strip, which will attach to the trash can lid, and then come behind the tag, and then come back out at the bottom of the trash can. And this is where I do my first mess up. Because I attach it to the bottom, see the bottom of the lid, where it should be coming up across the top of the lid. See, because that's why it won't flip up all the way, because it's at the bottom instead of pulling the lid up. It's just pulling it slightly. And then also, I don't realize that yet, and I'm thinking, oh, it's because I have to add that little stopper there. You see how it has like a piece going horizontal across the strip? So I'm like, okay, well, let me add that, and then that should help, like a lever. It acts like a lever, and it'll help get the lid to go up. So that's what I'm making here, making the little lever part. And I glue that on wrong also. So this is this whole thing is just a big mess up right here. But I keep it in. I don't edit it out because it's part of the process. But this is why I had to speed up my my video today, because this took me a while to figure it out. So here I realize, okay, it needs to come over the top of the lid. I'm showing you guys that that's how that works. So I decide to, I just decide to use the original drawing as the lid now. So that way I can have those bricks be part of the pulling system here. So you'll see I'm just going to include part of those bricks into the pull tab or the pull strip. I'm just going over it again with ink, and I'm going to glue it onto another piece of paper just to strengthen it. And then I'll cut it out to the shape I need it to be. And it'll start making sense once you see how I cut it out. And I also round off the edges, because if it's sharp edges, that also hinders the pulling mechanism. Makes it harder for it to flip up. All right, so now And I'm going to glue this onto the original piece also, the original lid. I'm still trying to figure out that lever, but I'll figure that out later. All right, so here I'm just gluing it to the original lid. And then now I have that strip on the top that will go through the slot, and that'll help. And I just am widening up the slot a little bit more too, just for the ease. And then here I was originally going to just glue him down just like that, but then I also realized if it folds, then it's going to not fit right, so I'm going to have to cut him in half for this to work. So I'll cut the image of the raccoon in half also, and then just glue him onto the bottom of the lid, the top part onto the bottom of the lid. Gosh, I hope I'm making sense, but you guys can tell by looking at the pictures. All right, so I did edit out my second attempt at this lever part, and this is my third attempt. And I also use that silver cardstock, is a little bit stronger, and I use that, and I'm actually gluing it the proper way. So before I had it, the lever in the wrong position. I had it like over the band when it should be under that band. And then now I'm going to add, to make the strip, the band longer, I'm adding another piece of paper. So I'll glue that onto there. And then even later in the video, where I didn't record it, but I also added part of that cardstock silver to that band on the back side to make it stronger also. Because that paper just, see how it folds? The paper just isn't strong enough to push that lever up and down. So I added the cardstock to the strip to make it stronger. So, but I finally got the mechanism to work. Yay. And then now I'm going to glue down the bottom half of our raccoon. And then I believe I start coloring it. Just using acrylic paint pens and Sharpie pens. Now this part is just kind of like a guard to protect that band strip in the back, so that it doesn't come up off of the back there. Kind of guides it a little bit, so that's all that is. That's not the strengthening part. The strengthening part I still add later in the video. Here I'm going to add my sign to the bottom, and that's going to be my pull tab. But I am going to first, remember I was telling you about rounding off the edges. So here I am rounding off the edges of that lever so that it kind of works a little bit better, because the sharp edges get stuck. So I'm gluing my sign onto another piece of paper for strength, and so I can add a shadow to it. So there I'm adding the shadow, and then I'll cut this out and glue it down onto the strip. And so here I just start coloring in our trash can and the raccoon. And at this point, I'm still not sure what color I'm going to make the raccoon. I have an idea. I don't know if you guys noticed, but he has a mohawk. And I'm going to color that orange, I know, but I wasn't sure about the rest of him yet. But we'll see. So while I'm coloring in the trash can here, I'll let you know that raccoon, it's not really my official spirit animal, let's say, because I don't know how you determine your official spirit animal. I just connect with the raccoon more because of obviously trash art and that kind of thing. But there are a few key elements to, or let's say symbolism words to a raccoon as a spirit animal that I do connect with. Mainly like adaptability, and they are resourceful, clever, they're good at finding solutions. And I feel like that's me, especially at work. They're intelligent. I'm not saying I'm intelligent, but you know what I mean, as far as finding solutions and problem solving. And they actually are very family oriented. The mother raccoons do everything they can to make sure that their babies are ready when they wean them off. You know, they make sure that they're ready for the real world, and they're really good mothers, I guess. So I feel like I'm a really good mother too. And then I find out that the mask kind of represents self-awareness. And a lot of us will go through that where we need to rediscover ourselves and become our true selves. And I feel like that's what I've done later in life, is just to be my true self and not worry about what other people think or whatever, and just live my life the way I want to, you know. And you're happier for it that way. And I feel like that's how I connect with the raccoon. So maybe a raccoon really is my official spirit animal, but no one actually ever told me that was, you know, I didn't take a test or whatever to find out what my spirit animal is. But for now, it is the raccoon. So I just wanted to fill you guys in on that. But yeah, so here we are, still coloring in the trash can. And the reason I did the trash can first is because I knew what I was going to do with that, and I'm still, while I'm doing this, I'm still thinking of how I'm going to color him in. So a lot of times I'll just do the easy stuff first while I think. And then, yeah, so now I'm going to add, of course, you know, the trash can was a little bit too shiny for my taste. So I'm going to go through and add some rust to the trash can. And I don't show all of this. I do part of it, and then the rest of it I do off camera. And then I will start trying to figure out what I'm going to do with our Mohawk punk rock raccoon. All right, so I decided to try painting him, or coloring him in orange. I'm still unsure about his mask, so you'll see me use gray first before I do the black, because I'm like, I don't know what color to make his mask and his hands. But the orange is pretty cool, I think. And then the reason why later I do, so here I'm doing his hands black just to see what that looks like before I do the mask. And then I'm doing the mask in gray. because the reason why I didn't want to do black on the mask is because I wanted to be able to see his eyes. But then I decided, well, you know what? It didn't pop out enough. The gray just doesn't pop, and it matches the trash can too much, right? So then I'm like, well, you know what? I'm just gonna have to do black on his mask. And so I do that, and then I use a white gel pen to kind of make his eyes stand out a little bit more. So here I am doing the black mask. And then I'll use the white gel pen so that we can see where his eyes are. And so now, while I try to figure out how I'm going to do his shirt, I decided to do the ground because, again, that's easy. So I'm doing the ground while I think about what to do with his shirt. Because I do kind of want to put something on the shirt too, but I don't want it to be too much going on. You know what I mean? So I'm thinking about that as I color. And then here I'm just taking a little bit of the tissue paper, crumbling it up. I'm going to make a little bit of three-dimensional trash on the bottom of the trash can. And these I squish pretty flat because, you know, again, I have to put it back into my little container, so I can't have it sticking up too much. Alright, so I decide to make his t-shirt black because, again, I want him to kind of pop out. I want the contrast. And then I just outline and add a little bit of wrinkles or whatever with the white gel pen. And then it dawns on me what I can put on the t-shirt that's kind of simple. So I'm getting out a stencil. And I'm just going to add the letter B and then the number 3. And many of you will know what that is from, or if you don't remember, it is actually my room number in the asylum. So there's a little bit of a connection there to the asylum also. All right, so now I'm adding in some trash, which I'm just adding in a little bit of color. And then I'm going to fill most of the trash with a darker, this is supposed to be brown, but the fine tip on my brown comes out kind of like an olive green. I think I must have accidentally mixed it with something else, but it's a good color for the trash, so I use that in there to fill in all the white spots. But yeah, so then there goes that. So playing with the lever is when I realize that it needs more strength, and so I'll add that strengthening strip. And then here I thought I was recording when I added that graffiti onto the brick wall in orange. And then it's just the 3-prong crown. And then I also, I don't know if you can tell, you probably can't tell, but I also went over some of those bricks with the rusty hinge distress also. But yeah, so I think I'm done, and it works. There's a little bit of gappage there, but that's okay. It was a hard road to get here, but we are done. And that, my friends, is my spirit animal for the Scrappy 8 challenge for May. And Thanks for joining me for this brutal video. Hope you enjoyed it, and look forward to seeing what you guys create for the Scrappy 8 challenge. Tschüss!